In 2024, very famous streamer CaseOh's came up with the FNAF Gauntlet challenge, a challenge where you complete the first 4 FNAF games in a row without dying a single time. He went on to stop doing this challenge after 2 attempts. I don't know whether it was because he just didn't want to or what, but either way, that's what we're going to be doing in this video. We are going to be beating FNAF 1, 2, 3, and 4 without dying a single time. First, I want to get into the rules for this challenge. They're very, very simple. You just have to complete all 4 games, the first 5 nights, without dying a single time. And if you die in any of them, you have to go back to FNAF 1. And you have to play them in release order as well, so you can't just do the hardest game first and then do the easiest last. So, without further ado, let's get right into the first attempt of the FNAF Gauntlet. When I started a new game on FNAF 1, starting the first attempt of the FNAF Gauntlet, I thought this was going to be a very, very easy challenge. After all, I finished the first 4 max modes for the first 4 games, which are the hardest challenges in all 4 of them, and have very, very good mechanical skill. And that was the case for 3 of these games, but one in particular caused me so much trouble in this challenge, but we're going to get to that later. I wanted to real quick talk about my strategy for FNAF 1, which was why it's the easiest game in this challenge. All I had to do was put my camera on the show stage and constantly flip up the camera and check the lights. Very, very easy. Foxy and Freddy never get to move, and Bonnie and Chica pretty much don't do anything. This allowed me to beat FNAF 1 my first try on almost all the attempts of this challenge. And with that very quick and simple strategy, FNAF 1's 5 nights went down incredibly easy, with only a bit of wrist pain because of how much movement you have to do for this strategy. But now let's talk about FNAF 2 and the inevitable end of attempt 1. FNAF 2 started out perfectly good as I made it through the first 4 nights without any difficulty. And then, night 5. Yep, after spending an hour and a half going through the first 5 nights of FNAF 1 and the first 4 nights of FNAF 2, I was pretty much completely zoned out and missed the mask. Despite having 5, 10, 20 wins, I'm not fully consistent with the mask. Very stupid death, ending attempt 1. After that, I decided to give it up for the night because it was already kind of late and I would start attempt 2 in the morning. Now that we become attempt 2, I want to talk about why this challenge was so annoying to play. It's mostly because of the fact that every time you died in a more difficult game, you'd have to go back and spend another hour doing the same loop in FNAF 1 until you can get back to another game, which has made this challenge so unfun to play at times. Anyway, we managed to get through FNAF 1, and now I want to talk about the FNAF 2 strategy. Since I talked about the FNAF 1 strategy, I might as well talk about all 4 game strategy. My FNAF 2 strategy would be very simple. I'd wind the box a bit, then I'd pull down the cams and make sure to put the mask on. Then I would flash the hallway and check both vents. Flash the hallway a bit more, pull up the cams and wind. I'd repeat that until either someone was in a vent or I got a blackout. A blackout animatronic is Toy Freddy, Withered Bonnie, or Withered Chica. If any of them appear, I leave the mask on for an extra 0.5 seconds to get rid of any left vent animatronics. Then I check the right vent to see if Toy Bonnie's there, flash the hallway, and then pull up the cams. If Toy Bonnie is there, put the mask down and wait for him to leave, then just pull up the cams after he leaves, and make sure you hit Foxy before pulling up the cams too, since he can really only be deadly if you're in cams. And that's all you really have to do for the first 5 nights of FNAF 2. Very easy, not nearly as complicated as Night 6 and 1020, and this is why I only ever had 1 death in FNAF 2, which you already saw. All you gotta do is make sure you're actually good at putting down the mask, and you can easily get past this. And now, after getting past Night 5 of FNAF 2, it's time we talk about the most annoying part of this challenge, the third game, FNAF 3. You may be asking why is FNAF 3 so difficult? Well, that's because of one key factor in this game. Luck. There is so much luck in FNAF 3 that beating the first 5 nights deathless can be comparable to aggressive nightmare mode, the literal hardest night in this game. My original FNAF 3 strategy for this challenge was very simple, but also was very, very inefficient. I'd keep him trapped on Camp 6 and just use an audio alert whenever he'd leave, which was not a good idea for this, because if I got a single phantom jump scare, he'd get teleported and he would start sprinting towards me pretty much. And the fact that anytime I had to go reboot a system, he'd pretty much be always moving, and he'd go through an unsealed vent or just blitz straight to the office and ignore my audio alert, causing me to lose, which is the exact same way that attempt 2 ended. And if he managed to get past Cam 2 and into the office, I would try to hold him at Cam 1 and just hope he'd listen to the audio alerts, which of course he didn't in most cases.
Hi.
And that's how attempt 2 ended, with Springtrap killing me on night 4. I had enough time for another attempt that day, and I did do another attempt that day, but I forgot to hit record. It wasn't anything special, it was just another fail at FNAF 3 on night 3, actually, and that's when I thought and realized that I needed to come up with a much better FNAF 3 strat, which I'm going to be telling you about right now. This is the Spring Trapped strategy. As the name suggests, the main idea behind the strategy is to keep Springtrap completely trapped. The place we're going to keep him trapped in is cams 10, 9, and 8. You see, we don't ever have to actually use an audio alert unless he goes into cam 8 here. If we keep him stuck in cam 9, then we just have to check cam 10 when he leaves. If he's not in cam 10, which you can tell based off the static that appears when he enters or leaves a room, then you switch back to cam 9, put an audio alert down. If he is in cam 10, then just go into the vent system and seal cam 10's vent. Then wait for him to go back into cam 9 and seal cam 9's vent. This is very simple. On night 5 of the winning attempt, I was able to keep him there the entire night. And if he does eventually manage to get past cam 8 with bad RNG, then you're just going to want to repeat the same strategy that I was doing before this with cam 6, since it's going to be late enough into the night that he probably won't even be able to kill you. This made FNAF 3 so much more consistent. And we begin attempt 4 now. Which did not go very well, as it was the only attempt in this challenge with a single FNAF 1 death. I don't really need to explain this one, just you can just watch this death here. Yeah, I did not get to test out my FNAF 3 strategy on this attempt. But I knew that if I could just make it past FNAF 3, if the strategy just worked and I made it to FNAF 4, that I would have already won this challenge because of how easy FNAF 4 is. Now you might be wondering, FNAF 4 is easy? No, it's not. FNAF 4 is one of the hardest games. Well, actually, no. FNAF 4 is incredibly easy because of two strategies that we use for nights 1 through 4 and the other for night 5. For nights 1 through 4, we play in a loop. First, we check the left door, then the right door, then the bed. If at one of the doors we hear breathing, then we shut it until we hear footsteps. Once we're clear that there's no one there, we use the flashlight on the door and continue the loop. Now this loop can continue until Foxy gets in the closet, and then it will change depending on when Foxy gets in the closet. Right after we see Foxy go in the closet, we want to check the bed immediately to clear Freddy, and then go to the closet and hold it shut for 7 seconds. This ensures that Foxy's timer gets reset, and then we have to start a new loop depending on where he got in. If he got in after the left door check, then we change our loop to left door, closet, right door, bed. If he got in after the right door check, then we change it to left door, right door, bed, closet. And this makes FNAF 4 extremely easy. So now, what about night 5 when Nightmare Fredbear shows up? Because he is very luck-based, isn't he? No, he actually isn't. Nightmare Fredbear is in fact incredibly easy. Nightmare Fredbear will run between the two hallways, and if he stops at one, you're going to want to wait a few seconds and then go to that doorway to close it. Make sure you're holding shift as you're going up to it so you can immediately close it. This part of Nightmare Fredbear is very easy. Then there's the laughs. The laughs can be a bit complicated. There's two types of laughs, real laughs and fake laughs. If it's a real laugh, then he's in the room and is either on the bed or the closet. A fake laugh is when he laughs but doesn't go anywhere. They're completely identical based on sound. One way you can tell is that if you hear footsteps right after a laugh, then it's guaranteed to be fake, but sometimes he'll stop at a door right before laughing. If he does that, then you're going to want to go to the door and quickly use the flashlight there to check. If you see him at the door, cool, shut the door immediately so you don't accidentally get killed by using the flashlight. If he's not, then he's in the room and you need to use the flashlight on the bed or close the closet. Doing this, Nightmare Fredbear is pretty much 100% consistent unless you get some crazy bad RNG and he like stops right behind a doorway and then just like doesn't go into the hallway and just like trick you like that. But that's really unlikely to happen, and even if it does, he has a pretty lenient kill timer, so you should be fine anyway. And that's why Nightmare Fredbear is insanely easy, and so is the rest of FNAF 4. Now let's get into the final attempt, attempt 5. Just Fredbear. Fredbear's so easy. Fredbear's so easy. Oh, okay. I cannot lose here. Fredbear's so easy. Oh my god, okay. Yes! That was the attempt after I came up with the new FNAF 3 strat. Let's go! That is the FNAF Gauntlet completed. Let's go! Alright. Okay, I just gotta get to this last cutscene. Thank you all so much for watching this video. This challenge took me quite a while, and I can definitely see why CaseOh gave up on it. And if you really if you enjoyed that ending montage that I made for the final attempt, please let me know. The next videos are going to be the FNAF 1 through 4 guide series, so get ready for that. Again, thank you so much for watching. Take care, you guys.